We could not let Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac fail.
Can't let it happen.
It maybe shouldn't have gotten to that point, but it got to the point where you had to do something to stop them from failing. The question is, how much is it going to cost us, and who's responsible? This is a bailout. This is the federal government stepping in and letting the taxpayers assume the liability for bad mortgage lending by the likes of AmeriQuest, EMC, Countrywide. We're taking it upon ourselves. The $5 trillion in mortgage debt that was backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is now backed by the U.S. Treasury, i.e. us.
Terry Smiljanich, I know on your sort of blog yesterday you talked about comparing this to the savings and loan scandal back in the 80s. How is this alike, and how is this different?
Well, I was struck when I started hearing the news about the takeover to the comparison to the S&L crisis of the 80s, where based upon loose standards, deregulation, some of the same things that led us to this situation here, you had lenders just loaning money on all kinds of silly projects that started going bad. And as a result, the government had to step in, take over 747 S&L institutions. And at first it was like, don't worry, this is not really a bailout, and we're going to take care of things, and it's not going to cost the taxpayers very much. The GAO figured out later, when all the dust settled, that that cost the taxpayers $400 billion.
Are these CEOs at the top of these companies, were they victims of the problem, or were they mismanaged people who were part of causing the problem? Or is that yet to be determined?
I think they were negligent bystanders. They were given a consulting agreement, so they continue to provide advice to these people. They each have about a $14 million severance package that there's some debate as to whether they'll get that or not. My guess is they'll end up getting it. So they'll do all right, and the CEOs will do all right. And that's where I go back and compare to what happened when the S&L crisis was all said and done. When I said it cost the taxpayers $400 billion, the government got restitution against the people that helped create the problem to the tune of $26 million. Now you say, put that in human terms, $417 billion, $26 million. What does that mean? That means that for every $1,000 we taxpayers had to pay to get us out of the S&L mess, the people that put us into that mess had to pay 6 cents. With the Consumer Warning Network, we get daily, we get stories from people around the country of the situations they're in, and these are not greedy people. These are people that were, sold a bill of goods. These are people that are in dire straits right now, that are bad on their mortgage because of medical, situations, things like that, and they're dealing with companies that aren't interested in renegotiating or working with them. So yes, there's greed here, but there's a lot of victims out there, and we shouldn't forget about them.